It's finally time for me to say something. I left Seattle last year in the summer. And I left thinking that I was going to something better. I had a small piece of property outside of Houston that I was just so hopeful I would be living on that property by now in at least a manufactured home. One thing after another took place in my life during that time. And I realized that I needed to sell it so that I could get an apartment. Yes, I did get my unemployment almost in one big whop. And even that wasn't enough to put me in a manufactured home. They actually gave me 3 payouts. Each time I got a payout, I tried to do something substantial, like either get a manufactured home or get an RV or just get an apartment. The apartments out in Sealy that was worth me living in basically all turned me down. The retreat, I can't really remember the apartments anyway, said I could pay for 12 months in advance. It's almost like she knew I had a nice chunk of change and she was trying to take every single bit of it. So the first major thing that happened when I got into the city was my car got repoed. And I did not know what I was going to do. So the first thing I did was got it out of repo as soon as I could, borrowing money from a place where I really shouldn't have been borrowing from. Anyway, the next thing that would happen within weeks is that the car transmission went out. So I tried to deal with the transmission problem, and to this very day, my car is still in the shop. The man basically said to me, he said, if you pay us to fix it, we have different companies that will be able to finance the repair, even if you have bad credit. So you don't have to worry. You can go ahead and sign that because we can get you financed and take care of the repairs. No sooner than I signed that paper and start trying to apply for financing, I could only get 1/3. It was almost a $6,000 bill. $6,000 bill to repair the car. And I could only get about $2,500 to for financing so that I could make those repairs. Okay, so then I try to buy a car from the same place I bought my last 2 cars, which was Enterprise. And finally, Enterprise has come to a point where they feel like they need $7,000 from me as a down payment. Okay, I didn't have it. So now I'm walking around in Houston's heat. It's hot. There's frogs out here. There's big bugs. Big bugs. Oh my God. You should see me walking to the bus stop. I'm running from all kinds of stuff. Geckos. And I call them geckos, or they're geckos. Like little, I don't know. They look like dragons. But they're just little tiny things that lift their head and run real fast. And they're about this big, about 2 inches. Anyway, I've been working in customer service, and I guess that's where God wants me at right now. And doing hair basically on the side whenever I could get someone to come and get their hair done. It's been kind of consistent. At least once a week someone is coming to get their hair, and that provides me with Uber money so that I can Uber away from work. I'm about almost 2 miles away from work. And so I've been sometimes walking, sometimes busing. I bus there usually and either walk or Uber home. I've been getting a ride from 2 different ladies, one Hispanic lady from Mexico. She saw me walking one night and she said, "Do you need a ride?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then another lady, Caucasian lady, older lady. At first I was wondering about her as a human being, but she reached out to me and she saw that I was catching Ubers and she said, "You don't have to spend that kind of money. I'll give you a ride." And she does that without asking for anything. She wouldn't accept any money from me. But I'm at a point where I see a turn in my life. There's a big switch. I had a conversation with somebody, and in that conversation, she put me down in every kind of way that she could have. And I know that people who know me from my childhood all have some kind of story to tell about me, rather than talking to me about those stories. And I've come to a point in my life where I'm just too broke to care. So I've decided to publish my story. See, if you have a story about me, that's only part of the story. Now you will get to have the full story, at least from my point of view. I've been working on this since before I moved. I was living in the country in hotels. I went from hotel to hotel to hotel to living with someone for about 4 to 6 weeks. And from there, I felt a true push to go to the city. And in going to the city, after my car broke down, after it was repoed, then broke down, then I couldn't get another car. Then I had to actually rent a car. Let me tell you, renting a car for Uber in Texas or in Houston feels like a waste of your time. Me as a woman, not being married to someone that has also an income, I felt like that I was just barely being able to eat and pay for the car. That was it. I couldn't pay rent. So basically I got evicted. But eviction doesn't scare me because I know a little bit about the court system. I learned it when my mother was sick and I had to fight that process as much as I could by myself. I learned how to go into the courtroom and not be intimidated by what's going on. So I went in there and figured out what their system was about and bought myself an extra 30 days to figure out, because they were trying to push me out like in 3 to 10 days, something like that. But I was able to get, in the state of Texas, you should be able to get actually 6 weeks to find yourself another place. And then with that situation, they cannot put that on your credit record because you moved within that time. Well, I was only able to get 30 days. Since I was working, I was able to take almost my full checks and put them into another apartment. So most of the time in that apartment, I wasn't thinking about writing a book. It just came to me after a conversation I had with someone. And then I had thought about, the life that I've lived. I've been out on the Bering Sea fishing a couple times. I've been at different canneries in Alaska. I've been on a semi-truck pretty much by myself all over America. I grew up in the foster care system. My mother was basically schizophrenic. And through all these situations that I had in my life, I saw books. Even in the hair industry, I see books. And as easy as it has been for me to start a hair business in every state that I've been in, this is taking me the longest. This has been the hardest. I put a lot of money into advertising out in the country, and only 2 people showed up. I put advertising in Houston. So far, I'm only getting about 1 person per week. So that tells me do something different. So I'm doing something different. From now on, I'm going to be publishing, starting with a book I'm calling I Killed My Whole Family. I'm going to start with that book because there's a lot in the media right now about abortion and people fighting for and against the rights to have abortion. I'm not talking about the right to give or have an abortion. I'm talking about my story of having an abortion and how that affected my life several times in my life. And I feel a strong pull to talk about those subjects first. I've reached out to Amazon and talked to people about how I should do this. I've watched hundreds of videos on how to do this. So I have spoken my story into different parts of my phone. I have transcribed it using an app. And now I'm in the process of editing it so that I can post it to Audible and to Kindle and put it in a book form that can be ordered through Amazon. In the meantime, I'm going to be posting little inserts from that book and go from there. But I did recover, just so you know, from the eviction. I moved into another apartment building, which was way more Hispanic than the building that I left. The building that I left was probably 30% black, 30% white, and 30% Hispanic. And this building's probably 60% Hispanic, 20% white, 70% Hispanic, 15% white, 15% African American or black. And I feel a strong need, since I'm in this area, to learn Spanish. Most of the people who come into the store, I work in a store, most of them, I'd say more than half of them, are Hispanic. So basically, I moved into the barrio of Houston. I really didn't know where I was going. My friend who sent me to the first apartment building, and everyone over there was quiet. So now I'm in a building where there's a lot of children, and there's a bunch of rhinoceroses running over my head in this place. And I'm just like, okay, I'm trying to get used to that. But I'm going to end this now because I'm already gone too far with 15 minutes, and I apologize. But I want to let you know that I am writing a book. I'm starting with my own life before I move on to the hair industry. And I've got to get some stuff off my chest. And I will put some little 5-minute inserts here and there out there and try to develop getting some pre-sale orders. In the meantime, if you are a friend to me or somebody that loves me, hit me up on CashApp, because my ass is broke. And I am walking to work for the most part, sometimes here lately, because I'm at the tail end of my week. It's 2 weeks before I get paid. So it kind of sucks when I'm at the end of the week and I don't have enough money to Uber. Tonight, I will be more than likely walking home because the 2 ladies that give me rides don't work on Monday. So if you love me, hit me up. Someone called me yesterday and said, "Are you still on your job?" Who wouldn't be on a job if they didn't have anything else? How would I go to a place and get myself fired? Now, I could be a piece of work, and I know that. But how would somebody not say, "Hey, how's the weather down there?" before they say, "Have you been fired?" No. But I just thought that was kind of strange to ask me if I'm still on a job that I need. And someone else for my birthday called and said, and it's about to be my birthday again, she called and said, "You got fat." Now, how is one fat person going to tell another fat person that they fat? So if you reach out to me to say something, let it be positive, because this is not a good time for me. And I don't know what kind of backlash I'm going to get from the subject that I'm talking about in my book. And it'll be a sensitive time for me. So watch, if you're reaching out to me, watch what you say, because it'll trigger me to say something crazy to you. Because who would quit a job when they have nothing else? And how can one fat person tell another fat person that they're fat? Okay? You guys do your best to take care of yourselves through these times that we're living in. And as I said, if you can spare anything, spare it to me. And thank you. Look forward to hearing my inserts.